Welcome to Fear Coded, a podcast where we talk about media from the horror genre and take a queer reading of a single book, video game, film, podcast, or TV show to explore just how queer horror can be. And in this episode, we're talking about the 2024 movie by Zelda Williams, Lisa Frankenstein. I'm David.
I'm Marilee.
And I'm Tyler.
And while we're firing up the tanning bed, I just want to check in and say hello to my co-host on how things are going for the three of us in the landscape of horrors that our real world has to offer. What's making you all scared and what's making you feel prepared?
I have something that I'm scared of.
Yes.
Okay.
Tell us.
But thankfully, it's not something to be horrified by. Instead,
Okay.
I'm scared of the price of Legos, specifically the adult Legos, because I think that Lego knows that they have the really adult fan base by the cojones and will just price them out for everything they got. And it's just like, Lego, I'm really simple. Just sell me like the X-Wing that I could put out on display for like maybe $100 at most. And instead they're charging like $400 for like Lord of the Rings Lego, like $500 for a new Star Wars Lego. The D&D Lego set is like, I think also $400. And it's like, girl, this is just going out on display. Like,
what's the is it large when it's that much? I have no concept of Legos.
Pretty big.
Okay.
But I don't think they should be going for like $400. Like, they're not $400 worth of plastic. Like,
not when you're expected to build it yourself.
No,
I think that's the thing. This is like an
the other
IKEA
thing, too.
situation.
Like, there's not like a little German boy that will come over and build my Lego set for me. So, like, why am I paying all this much money when I have to use it with my adult arthritic fingertips?
See, there you go. This is what I'm saying. I have never done a Lego as an adult. As a child, we didn't have like sets. There was like the castle was the only set.
I don't build Legos that much as an adult because, again, they're so expensive.
Okay.
They are.
But I have done it, and it's very therapeutic. It's very calming. I highly recommend it.
I would
My
believe that. I would believe
best friend has like gotten a couple Lego sets because like she loves like ships and space and Star Wars, and so there's a Titanic Lego set that she got for herself. There's like and they're just so expensive for no reason.
Yeah.
It's so much. I completely feel you.
Yeah, that is wild. We do like a jigsaw puzzle, but those are notoriously cheap. Even like the fancy made of like small pieces of wood ones aren't $400.
We should do a fear-coded jigsaw puzzle once we become super popular. And
You mean like a picture of us that we would then sell as a jigsaw puzzle, or should we do a jigsaw puzzle together?
I'm thinking like we make the jigsaw puzzle our logo. So that way there's like 200 just black pieces.
Oh, okay. Okay, well I can do
and
that.
it will drive
So
everyone insane.
Yeah.
You didn't think you were getting this, but I love that because I'm colorblind and before people are like, "Oh, find the blue one." And that's stupid and I hate that. I'm only lines, textures and looking at the shapes.
David is just like, I'm going to build the shit out of our fear-coded puzzle.
Yeah, I'll do it upside down like I did the Lost puzzle because there was some black light thing when you turned off the lights and it glue in the dark.
Oh, we should do that too.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it costs, but like, we'll talk to Glitterjaw and see.
Oh my god, no.
I love that. Oh boy.
What about the rest of you guys? How are you feeling?
I have to say I am also feeling scared, but it's for such a stupid reason. I am completely insane, and I need you to know this. And so a couple weeks ago, I just decided for no reason that I wanted to read all of the Poirot books again. 2 years ago, a friend had introduced me to like Hercule Poirot, and so I after reading picking. He told me what his favorites were. I read all of them, and I was like, you know what? I did all of those. So I just read every single one of them in order. And it's been 2 years, and somebody mentioned Poirot just like on a podcast talking about something completely different. And I was like, oh, let's do Poirot again. It's been 2 years, and I'm on the fifth book.
Oh my
called
gosh.
The Big Four. And here's the thing. I hate this book. I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm reading it again. And every time I have to hit play, because I do audiobooks, every time I go to hit play, I'm like, oh, I hate the big four. But I have to do it. I'm doing them all again. So I have to listen to this book I hate.
Are they pretty good, Marilee? Because I've always I like Poirot as a character. I've watched the BBC series Poirot, and I like Kenneth Branagh's Poirot just fine. And I always thought I might like these books, but I've never given them a shot.
So listen, here's the thing you have to understand about Agatha Christie is that she's deeply racist.
Oh, so, yeah, well, okay.
No, it's true. If you read any of the books, there's just a lot of stuff happening that you have to be like, man, what a time, what a person. Okay, ignoring all that, let's do the fun mystery. So I want to put that forward first and foremost. It's gross. It happens. You just have to walk on past it. And if you do not want to do that, which I am totally fine with, then you shouldn't read anything she's ever written, because holy Christ. She was racist, she was anti-Semitic. It's so right there plainly in the text. And it's supposed to be, oh yes, her characters. Yeah, no. Baby, you can't keep doing this and it not be from you.
Well, she was a white British lady in the early 20th century. So I think, I think we should just all recognize that the racism is baked into her DNA.
Oh my God, it's so baked in, and you cannot avoid it. Some of them are better than others. Murder in Mesopotamia, which is an otherwise pretty good book, has a narrator who's just the worst one. That one's very bad, so jot that down. But so besides all of that, I do genuinely really enjoy most of them. My favorite is one that I think really should be a huge one. I think that Five Little Pigs has everything in it to be like The Death on the Nile or Murder on the Orient Express. It should be that big. It's just as good. I love Five Little Pigs. But nobody's ever heard of it. I think that somebody should do a Five Little Pigs podcast. I think that would be a perfect adaptation.
Great.
But no, so the thing is about the Sign of Four, which is the fifth book, which is irritating also, that it's the fifth one and it's called the Sign of Four, is that Agatha Christie hates Sherlock Holmes. She hates Sherlock Holmes. And it's so obvious in the first couple books. She has a character named Hastings who's just supposed to be Watson, and he's so stupid and bad. Also, he likes golf, which is another sign against him.
Red flag.
Yeah. Sorry, this is now a Poirot podcast.
Listen, Poirot cast, just take it over. You're doing it.
Poirot podcast.
I'll go get my mustache wax.
Yes. So this whole book is basically making fun of the concept of Moriarty and also how dumb Mycroft Holmes is as a concept. And so that's your spoiler for the Sign of Four. I really like Sherlock Holmes. So every time I go to listen to it, I'm like, I get it. You hate Sherlock Holmes. This whole book is how much you hate Sherlock Holmes. Can we get on with it? And it's really dumb, but it's bumming me out.
I'm sorry, Marilee. I'm sorry that you're garnering a sense of fear from participating in a book that you need to re-experience before you can move on to the next one. I totally understand. I totally get it.
It's 100% on me. No one's forcing me to do this. I've already listened to this book already. I don't need to, and yet I do. I have to.
Girl.
No, it doesn't matter. The book will know if she doesn't read it. This is what it is, Tyler.
Yes.
You have to understand.
I'm doing them all again. I will know if I don't do this one again.
I know Marilee in this way.
You
I
know
know
you.
Marilee in this way.
I do know me. What about you, David?
I'm going to be contrarian, and I'm feeling prepared this week. So we're not all of one mind. And what has got me prepared? It may also be a little stupid, but I made one of my favorite lunches today.
Yay!
And I made a big old batch of tuna noodle, and I am just so fucking happy to eat some cold noodles in some mayonnaise and dill and lemon and canned tuna. There is something so homely about this simple meal. It's like that moment in Ratatouille when Anton Ego eats his little ratatouille and goes back to his childhood. Spoiler alert for the end of Ratatouille. And that's how I feel every time I eat it. And now I have like 6 Tupperwares of it because it makes a ton. So I am full of tuna. It's really great that this is a remote podcast.
Shut up. Well, David, I have to be honest. It sounds horrible to me.
Oh no.
I don't like canned tuna at all, though, so I'm biased from the jump. I can't stand the smell, so I find the whole thing horrifying. Not only am I happy that we're on a podcast, I'm also happy now there's an ocean separating us.
There is. Where there are actual tuna, I believe. You wouldn't even need to can them. They're right there.
But I love like tuna like in sushi. Like I love a spicy tuna, but it's definitely different when it's canned.
Yeah, I'm with you. But you know what? I'm thrilled because I think a careful listener will note this is the first time David's been prepared. So I like, even though I hate canned tuna, and it sounds like certainly an experience not for me, I'm so happy that you had this lunch.
When Mike and I first met, we ate a lot of tuna because he would mash it up with Ritz crackers and then fry those on the stove, and then we would eat that for dinner. It's called a tuna patty. Little egg in there. This is not working for either of you. I'm just deepening your fear. You are more afraid than usual.
I have to retroactively change my fear to now I'm afraid of whatever it is that you just described.
A tuna patty. A tuna patty.
The tuna patty sounds like a tuna catastrophe to me.
It is tunalicious, so you are wrong.
So, I'm very, like, food smells, sometimes they really get to me, and canned fish is generally just a no in general. My 2 sisters both love tinned fish, so there's a lot. They love tinned fish. They love to eat it. They have lots of fancy little tinned fishes. Every time they'll open up a tin of fish, and I think, man, what a different palate we have.
By all means, please make sure your sisters visit the Mediterranean because it is tinned fish everywhere over here.
Well,
these people love a tinned fish.
I'll get right on that.
Yeah. Get on a plane, girls.
Yep.
Let's go. Well, we're not talking about the bad smell of fish, but we will talk about the bad smell that comes from a corpse's tears, because today we're talking about Lisa Frankenstein, a 2024 monster rom-com movie directed by Zelda Williams. That's right, daughter of late Robin Williams. This movie is about Lisa Swallows, a goth teen with a tragic past, and the relationship she forms with a Victorian-era reanimated corpse.
Lisa Frankenstein was released in theaters back in February 2024, which was followed quickly by the video-on-demand release only 18 days later on February 27th, because that is how Hollywood works these days.
Yeah, whatever.
While critical reviews tended to say it was about average to mixed, it gained a second life on websites like Tumblr, where it instantly became a beloved classic.
Well, the title seems to be an obvious homage to the ubiquitous school supply brand of the early 90s. In interviews, Diablo Cody has stated that Lisa's name is actually a reference to 1985's Weird Science. She has also said that Lisa Frankenstein is set in the same universe as Jennifer's Body. But
that is wild. That is wild information. Can I just tell everyone? That blew my mind.
Yeah. But listen, we really can't fight these feelings anymore. What's everyone's background and experience with this movie, and how scary did you find it?
I felt like this was such a fun send-up to, like, 80s and 90s, like, kind of Tim Burton-y movies. Like, it's definitely giving Edward Scissorhands. It's just immensely charming, and I busted out laughing so many fucking times in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
It's not scary per se. Like, I was never scared, but, like, God, what a great, gross, like, movie this was.
Yeah, I loved every single part of that. I loved every time a bug showed up, which is really off-brand for me, but I thought they were really cleverly done. I thought they were cute. I thought the grossness was particularly, like, effective. The gore famously doesn't bother me, so even the gory scenes that might have been there for one of you, like getting hit by penis blood in the face, didn't bother me. And so I loved this. You know, it's funny because as I was, like, reviewing it on Letterboxd, I only gave it 3 stars because I don't know that I would instantly watch this again. I had a great time with it, and I think lots of people will have a great time with it. And I wonder if this was released in 1989, would I think of this as a cult classic today the way I think of like Heathers? Because that was the vibe that I got, is like we were almost retroactively putting an 80s movie back into the vault and having it like erupt in 2024.
Yeah, that's fair. I have to say that is not my experience, because I watched this movie I waited for the home release. I was planning on going in theaters, but then it was at my house already, so I watched it then. I watched the movie again almost like 3 hours later. Yeah, the same day, bestie. I loved this movie. I knew I was going to be obsessed with it from the title announcement. I was like, Lisa Frankenstein, it's an 80s like monster rom-com. Put me in, coach. I'm in. I'm there. I can't wait. And every single thing that I learned about it from that moment, I was like, yes, this is it. And then I watched the movie and it somehow exceeded all of those expectations. It was so fun. I loved it. I was thrilled by it. I had such a good time.
Do we think it's like, it's a horror movie still, right? Like,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because
I thought about that too, because like what is horror? We talked about this in our intro, and like, you'll know it when you see it. And I think that because it's calling back to like seminal horror by referencing and being about the tale of Frankenstein. But I also think just the macabre aspects of all of this. I mean, Lisa is like an alt version Lydia Dietz, and I am here for that. If for no other reason, there are some outfits in this that I think only belong in the horror genre, period, end of story.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Lydia Dietz comparison is so on point. Lydia Dietz from Beetlejuice, if I'm remembering correctly. Winona Ryder wears...
Beetlejuice on our list?
Beetlejuice will have to be on our list, especially with a second one coming out.
Very true.
It's true. Yeah, let's do it.
I think that was definitely on purpose. I think there's so much in this movie that is throwing back and referencing to Tim Burton classics, but I think it's also playing into like, there's a bit of Addams Family, there's a bit of the Munsters, and then of course there's just like the classic, B Hollywood movies, and then just classic like Universal monster movies. Like it's so self-aware. And I think that really works in its favor. So among the themes for this movie, we have already discussed it's part of a genre that involves horror and comedy, the horror comedy. While this might seem like an oxymoron, in reality, horror and comedy have a lot more in common than people think. If you're trying to tell a funny joke or scare the shit out of somebody, either way, you need impeccable timing. Lisa Frankenstein absolutely belongs to the genre and can fit in comfortably among classics like Young Frankenstein. Now, this one is a little bit more unorthodox, but I'm so happy that we put it in our show notes. Another theme to discuss is something very 21st century, and that is monster fucking. Monster fuckers are a part of an internet subculture that has arisen in our wonderfully creative and unique time on the internet. Although it is a dubious name, it is pretty apt, because if you have ever wanted to waltz with the Wolfman, get down bad with old Vlad Dracula, or be with the Beast before he turned back into a boring human, then you may be a monster fucker.
So, my goodness. I have to admit that I am a monster fucker in name only, MFiNO, if you will. But I am greatly supportive of this culture and the wonderful, beautiful art that they have made for the world.
Indeed. I, too, am a MFiNO. I would happily let a werewolf take me out to dinner and tell me nice things. But I think I'm just going to draw the line there.
I'm Arrow Ace, so like truly, there's no skin in the game for me in any direction. So I guess I'm also a MFiNO. But like it's the same comprehension basically. You know what? I'm very happy that this does it for you, monster fuckers. I love this for you.
Yeah. I gotta say, whenever I hear of monster fucking, like my like image that I go to in my brain is not horribly graphic. Well, I won't say horribly. For many people it's titillating. But I think of the Mothman statue in West Virginia that has like the perfect ass. like double caked up for days, like Mothman, and people have started
David,
putting
do you
dollar
not
bills
know?
in his butt cheek.
Listen, I'm looking right now.
Okay.
We do this podcast on the internet. A delightful Reddit post has posted the front of the Mothman, and if I push this right arrow, I will see the view from behind. And yeah, this is cake. This is a caked up Mothman. What's the deal with this?
West Virginia, I think Point
Okay.
Pleasant, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Is
The Reddit
home.
comments affirm that. Yeah.
It's the home of the Mothman.
Yeah.
So, of
thank
course,
you.
like, they gotta put a statue of Mothman up. Now, a monster fucker Shirley is who crafted that statue.
Yeah. And shout out and thank you to user Garvin Marvin1 for your post. I can't stop thinking about this absolutely cheeked up Mothman statue that appears on Shriek Week. Thanks, Garvin Marvin.
I love it.
Scholar of our time.
But
But on the other side, the horror comedy of it all, I think works great for me. And it's funny because we're going to talk about like other appearances of Frankenstein across like media, but Frankenstein seems to lend themselves to a comedy take. Whether it's Young Frankenstein, this, Rocky Horror, there's a lot to poke fun at here.
we even got a
For
Rocky
sure.
Horror reference in the movie.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, with the Damn It Janet. But you know, I think I like we should really just do a whole episode about horror comedy at some point. Like, I feel like there's so much to kind of run with that. But yeah, comedy I feel like goes hand in hand with horror. Like, how often do you feel like the urge to laugh and the urge to scream, or the urge to laugh after screaming at something in a scary movie? Or if you go to like Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios or something, like, you're having a good time, the fear and the laughter, the comedy of it all just kind of like goes together so well.
Absolutely. Jordan Peele says that the only difference between horror and comedy is the background music. And in a lot of ways, he's not really wrong. And his meteoric success in the horror genre just proves him right.
Absolutely.
He was a really amazing comedian. And then just out the gate, it's been banger after banger after banger of horror movies.
Honestly, that quote makes me think of the scene in Nope where the little aliens are appearing in the farm. And that scene scared the shit out of me, but now I'm thinking about it with like some silly music on top of it, and it just instantly changes the tone. And
yeah,
it
no, you're
becomes
right.
Hysterical.
I have not seen that because the title told me not to, because it was going to be scary.
Ooh, right.
We're gonna make you watch Nope.
I know. Listen, I'm ready. I do think that when the stakes are higher, comedy is also so much more welcome, and so I think that even like mediocre jokes fly high when the stakes are so high because people are getting stabbed all over the place. And to me, it's my babe Henry Winkler in Scream. Like, we recently rewatched this, and my God, it's like the perfect appearance until it's not anymore. Sorry, Henry. Hey!
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Okay, well, then, cutting to the heart of it all is this movie queer. Let's talk about the show's concepts of queer theory, what we sort of read at a high level of being queer about this film. I really felt like for a lot of this film, we were preparing to see the creature and Lisa being in a queer platonic relationship. And it was like there from like all the way until the middle of Act 2. And I guess the halfway point of the movie is what that is. And then they were obviously... she was a monster fucker, so she went on and did it.
David, can you tell us a little bit more about what a queer platonic relationship is?
Sure. A queer platonic relationship is two people who spend time together, but not necessarily romantically, not necessarily sexually. And the idea is a type of partnership or closeness that a lot of people would think of as like being a friend or a best friend, but they're both queer, or maybe they're aro or ace. And so there are parts of that relationship that they don't need to fulfill. And so I think QPR is what gets most thrown around as a queer platonic relationship.
I had never heard of a QPR before we were starting to make the show notes for this. So I really love the concept, and I agree with you. It feels very similar to that. Starting from, Lisa's initial meeting with the creature and his realization that she doesn't want to have a relationship, like a romantic relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the two of them seem to be, pretty, close. And I could definitely see where like the seeds for that are being met. To me, like this whole movie, I think is just kind of like an interesting way to look at a typical like teen rom-com relationship. And just kind of like a rom-com in general. There seemed to be a lot of swapping of gender roles regarding things like autonomy, control, and then the physical body is also extremely present like throughout this movie. There's a lot of references, of course, to like they have to put the creature's body back together, but there's also just a lot of references to like bodily functions happening. I think a period is referenced multiple times, more than once. And I think that this is something that is just constantly being mentioned, and it plays with what we designate as I said, like a rom-com, but it also plays into this identity, or not identity, but this idea of what is permissible and what's not permissible to discuss. And I think that is very resonant for queer people, and then just queer identity in general, because there's a lot of like hush hush sort of thing, but then I think among queer people we're way more open to talking about this stuff than we are around straight people.
Yeah, I just like the whole vibe is so immaculately like the ways in which things are forbidden are like dealt with and everything like that. I just, for a supposedly straight movie, it's so campy, and it just simply must be added to the queer canon.
Oh yeah.
But I also think that we should, shout out and mention that the creature does literally get bottom surgery. So there's a very much a potential for a trans narrative here.
Yeah. I mean, or if not trans, at least the idea of gender affirming, right? Like,
yeah,
this
exactly.
Is, not maybe changing their gender, but just thinking about gender differently throughout the narrative.
Yeah.
Which I think is really powerful.
I find that its willingness to discuss gender and kind of like play with gender norms and play with like gender roles, I think is what makes this movie so fucking queer.
Yeah.
Initially, because like when I initially watched the movie, I turned to Marshall, my partner, and I said like, I don't know how the fuck I'm going to talk about that's queer in this movie. And then just like over time, you think about it, and it's just like, wow, there's a lot of stuff going on here that maybe not be between like two people of the same sexual identity. Or gender identity, but the body, gender roles, everything else that's going on in this movie, it's so fucking weird and out there that like it's got to be queer. There's a lot of stuff going on here.
Well, and I think anytime you've got a character who's coded as being different or the outsider, I think that's a pretty easy queer person insert.
Sure. Yeah.
Or, I mean, it would be, again, if this movie came out in 1989, that would be like a home run. I'd be like, oh, there's me.
Yeah.
I'm Lisa Frankenstein. Is the only job I can get is as a seamstress. And like, duh, that means that I'm this character. It's one of those things. And I just keep coming back, and I'm afraid that I'll bore both of you, but I'm going to come back to this idea that like this feels almost like it was released in the 80s and it's contemporary.
I agree.
You're 100% right, and also I'll never disagree with you on that.
Well, and then listeners who have been with the podcast so far, don't worry. I am going to look at every murder and talk about how it is the murder of heteronormativity, which is now my thing. Hashtag.
Thank
my
God.
thing.
Thank God for that.
Not hashtag my thing.
Yeah,
Please
and I have to say I'm much
that.
more on your side this time.
Okay. Great.
Frankenstein is a public domain story, so his creature shows up in a lot of different places, especially in comedies. From movies like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein to shows like The Munster to, yes, even The Simpsons more than once.
God, so many times.
Especially notable in the Treehouse of Horror XIV, I'm not going to Roman numerals that, guys, which has Lisa take center stage in the narrative in 2003, which is decades before Lisa Frankenstein. Why do you think The Monster is such a natural fit for inclusion in comedies, and what are your favorite Franken parodies?
For me, Young Frankenstein is my favorite Franken parody. First of all, I love calling it a Franken parody. But I think, like, fucking Mel Brooks, man, is such a fucking genius. I'm going to be so sad on the day that he passes. Maybe he just won't. Maybe he'll just live forever. But God, what a hysterical movie. I think it still holds up really well too. There's not there's some stuff in there that probably hasn't aged super well, but for the most part, it's hysterical. It's genius. It's a wonderful movie, and I love it to this day. And as for the creature, I feel like the creature is just wonderful as an example of a sympathetic villain. Villain, of course, being in quotes because, there's the oft-repeated meme that Victor Frankenstein is the true monster. But, for queer people, the creature has long been a representation of our experience. James Whales's Frankenstein back in the 1930s or 40s, I forget which. But, that was very explicitly a queer metaphor since James Whale was queer. But I think, you go all the way back to Mary Shelley. There's a lot going on in the novel Frankenstein that has to do with gender identity, the creature as this person who we feel for, but we also, don't like that he kills people and everything else. And it's so complicated, but I think he's a monster with a heart, or the creature is typically a monster with a heart, and so we care for him and we see ourselves in him.
Yeah.
What about you all? What's your favorites?
Yeah, so I watched the Abbott and Costello movies a lot as a kid, and my favorites were always the ones with the Universal monsters. I thought they were really funny. And Frankenstein has always really seemed like a character that is very misunderstood, and that's very easy to, especially when you're a kid, like see yourself in and have a lot of respect for.
Yeah, I mean, there are so many to choose from. I might have to give it to Rocky Horror.
Yeah.
Just because it was pretty formative when I was a teenager, and it was a story about creating a creature that was gorgeous, and everyone else sort of being distorted in this world, and that changed the way that I was brought up with this narrative. I mean, I love The Simpsons. I love that it sort of turned into a running gag. I love Young Frankenstein, and I'm just now making the connection, Tyler, that like Taffy is probably a reference to Taffeta. From Young Frankenstein, right?
Oh, look at me not making that reference.
Oh, well, okay. Well, because Taffeta is a character in Young Frankenstein, and I kept writing Taffy down in my notes, and I was like, whatever, fuck ever. And only now I'm like, oh, was Taffy like a give to like Taffeta?
Interesting.
That did not occur to me at all. I thought it was just like a really 80s name.
But I don't know. To self-congratulate. One of my favorite things about Frankenstein is pedantic nerds telling someone that something isn't Frankenstein, that actually that's Frankenstein's creature or the monster or whatever. And somebody posted a picture of a cat that was like mixed breed, and half of it's calico and half of it's tuxedo. And I had a really good time posting that Frankenstein refers to the guy who opens the cat food. This is the creature. And I just, you know what? I got to give myself a pat on the back. That was a good joke. I love making fun of pedantic nerds. I know who Frankenstein is. I know he went to the Alps with his friend. So one day we'll actually cover Mary Shelley's, because there's a lot of like Dr. Frankenstein going off with a friend for that story, and he, to get rid of his guilt, I guess, is little.
There's just a lot going on in that one.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in that one. While we're talking about Victor himself, I just want to throw it out there that whenever people are like, it's Dr. Frankenstein, no, he wasn't. He was an undergrad of the humanities, and he dropped out of school.
Same, Vic. Same. You know what, though? Call yourself a doctor. Most employers won't check. You're fine. You're fine.
That's a fear-coded life tip for all of you listeners out there.
Please don't sue the podcast if you get caught and fired from your job.
Yeah, we're not liable.
No,
yeah, we're not liable because we've made this statement.
Oh, we should talk about the movie now.
Let's talk about the movie now before I get us into any more legal trouble. Because Lisa's got plenty of legal trouble on her own. So the movie starts with this brilliant and beautiful animated sequence, this sort of flat animation that shows the silhouette of a sad life and death of a Victorian gentleman who we will only know in this film as the creature. He lives alone, had a brief romance with a lady who leaves him for a guitar player, gets struck by green lightning, and dies. He's buried in a bachelor's cemetery, and his grave lists him specifically as unmarried. After a long, long time, we get a zoom in on Lisa, who is making an etching of the gravestone, which becomes the title. Really, really pretty and very neon. So this is like Did you know you were in an 80s movie? Right off the bat. We then cut to real time. Lisa is getting ready for a party, but having some frustrating results. Her stepsister, Taffy, joins her at the mirror, and we get a sense of their sibling dynamic. Lisa tries to get out of going to the party, but Taffy insists Lisa has to go, and Taffy offers Lisa the use of her tanning bed to get ready. In the first of many tanning bed sequences, Lisa gets in before she receives a nasty shock.
That shock fixes her hair, though. Can I just say?
Does it?
In the next scene.
I didn't notice that.
Her hair looks fantastic. It activated the perm.
Okay.
The whole beginning of this movie
Elwoods could never.
Elwoods could never. The whole beginning of this movie is so fantastic. It's really charming. Like I said in the beginning, the Tim Burton vibes are there. The whole, intro animation was reminding me of Corpse Bride. I just thought it was so delightful. I am now realizing that we never did get a name for the creature. He is just known as the creature throughout the movie, which is going back all the way to Mary Shelley's original Frankenstein. I also just love the dynamic between Taffy and Lisa. I like that Taffy is definitely not like the best stepsister in the world, but she like kind of means well, but she's also fucked in the head because of her cheerleader brain, I guess, is the implication there. But yeah, it's delightful.
Yeah, Taffy's actor really bodies the role, because it would be so easy to make this a stereotypical mean girl, and like you kind of, from her first instance on screen, are expecting her to be that, but she so genuinely means it and means well, even though everything she's saying can be taken extremely badly every time.
Right.
Like she's like, she sees Lisa in the mirror with the makeup, and she's like, that blush isn't your shade.
Yeah.
And she means it genuinely, even though it's a devastating thing to hear. Like, I specifically have been Lisa trying to get ready for an event, hating everything that I've done, and be like, what if I just stayed home? And I really get it. Also, I knew I would love this movie. I have to be very clear. And I was so hooked immediately. They just really, this whole entrance is so charming and lovely. I loved it.
Yeah, I think the scariest part of the movie was here at the front, because the film was getting ready to air. I saw a Focus Pictures logo pop up, and I was like, fuck yeah, Focus Pictures. And then underneath it, in small subtitle, it read, a Comcast subsidiary. And I was like, oh, no. That was the scariest part. I have never seen that subtitle, so either it is new, because I do believe Focus was purchased relatively recently compared to how often I watch movies, and I just haven't seen it yet. So that was a literal jump scare for me. Break up monopolies, eat the rich.
Yeah, Universal, who distributed the movie and financed it, if I'm not mistaken, is owned by Comcast, or if you're a 30 Rock fan, they're owned by Cabletown. And the monopolies are just eating every corporation under the sun.
It's wild.
It's fun.
Wild.
Hey, let's go back to the 80s real quick. So, in the car,
there were no corporations fucking things up in 1989.
We had at least slightly more protections. Okay, give us this, David. Give us this.
Let me have this, David. Let me have this transition.
Yeah, take the transition. Go.
Okay. In the car on the way to the party, Taffy is deeply apologetic, but Lisa doesn't really engage. Trying to draw her out, Taffy asks her how she's liking her new school, and does she have a crush? Turns out, Lisa does. Lisa likes Michael, the editor of the school literature magazine. Changing the topic, Lisa wants to know why they're driving to the party, what's an easy walking distance if you cut through the forest. However, Taffy is shocked anyone would go through the haunted bachelor cemetery. Lisa explains that she thinks the cemetery is very peaceful and she likes to go there. And honestly, as someone who got into goth stuff much later in life after high school, I would totally be willing to walk through the haunted cemetery if it meant having to walk less. Yeah. Lisa also has a favorite grave, that of a young man that she likes to tend and leaves flowers at. She even left her mom's multicolored rosary there with him. The rosary, by the way, I love that it's colored like it's fucking Lisa Frank's first rosary. It's just so brightly colored, and as a former Catholic, like, trauma survivor, I'm just so surprised that rosary was so colorful. Like, it definitely feels like, you know, Zelda Williams and Diablo coding. We're having some fun there. Taffy, however, thinks that this whole thing is very weird. They arrive at the party where Taffy is immediately surrounded by her cheerleader friends, and Lisa walks off awkwardly alone, but bumps into Michael while getting a beer. Lisa doesn't know how to handle this, but she tries to play it cool, failing spectacularly.
Oh, so badly.
I love that Diablo Cody channeled the crush of every Tumblr girly with Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Michael...
Is this accurate? Michael doesn't work for me. I'm just going to tell you right now, Michael doesn't work for me.
I think he is mysterious and classically handsome, and he's an intellectual, and he wears a leather jacket, and it's just boom, 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 like all like the heartthrob kind of vibes that I could totally see the Tumblr girlies falling for. He did not work for me either, David, so I'm right there with you. But if I were very different and I were on Tumblr and I was a Hot Topic loving girl who also read sad books, I would totally fall for Michael.
Yeah, listen, again, Michael doesn't really work for me either, but that's not his fault. I can say that when I went to high school, before Tumblr, Michael is exactly the kind of guy that most of my friends would have a crush on.
Yeah. Here's
And
the deal.
I wouldn't have realized that I also didn't have a crush on him, probably.
I can totally get behind having a crush on the editor of the Lit Mag. That makes 100% faithful to me. But like, this man, no. I feel like I'm the Demi Lovato Mead. Get a job, stay away from her.
No, you're right.
I mean, you are right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. I just felt too I'm now dad, so I am this boring ass dad, and I'm like, no, get a job, stay away from her. Her true love is coming.
Yeah. Meanwhile, one of the cheer friends asks Taffy what Lisa's whole deal is. At first, she's reluctant to share, but immediately folds and tells Lisa's story to a growing audience of cheerleaders. 2 years ago, when Lisa and her mother were home alone together, a masked axe killer broke in. Her mother told Lisa to run and hide and tried to hold him off, but she was killed, and Lisa heard everything. The killer was never caught, and the trauma of the whole ordeal caused Lisa to become mute for months. But 6 months after the murder, Dale met Janet, Taffy's mom, and they got engaged and married very quickly after that. Taffy thinks that this is great news because that way Dale didn't have to be sad for long, and Lisa got a new mom right away. It all worked out great.
Yeah, this endeared me to Taffy in so many ways because it delivered by someone else, delivered with different direction. This is such a shithead thing to say, but she is she genuinely believes the words that she is saying.
Yeah.
She is like, our family saved this girl from not having a mom. Like, how great are we? But it's authentic. It's so good.
Yeah, totally. I just love the visual gag as well that Taffy starts off by saying, I'm going to tell you guys only because you're my cheer friends and we're cheer sisters and I know I could trust you. And it's only like 2-3 people. And then suddenly there's more people and the crowd starts growing every time we cut back to Taffy from the story. And I just thought that was such a good gag. That was so like I feel like one of the reasons I find this movie so charming is that it plays back to like really classical jokes and bits and gags and everything else that we would see like in an 80s rom-com or a 90s rom-com. And I feel like that is definitely a manifestation of that. I think also it's really cool that Lisa has basically lived through a horror movie before this one. Mm-hmm. Like, it's a very traumatic ordeal that she went through. And if this were told differently, it would be like straight out of Scream, you know, it would be straight out of some other horror movie, but instead it's kind of played for laughs. So at the same time that you're like kind of horrified and feeling for Lisa, you're also laughing because it's such like, first of all, it's Taffy telling the story, and then second of all, it's so like tropey, like a masked axe killer breaks into the home and then Lisa has to go hide and then her mother gets murdered. Like, that's like one thing after another. And then, of course, there's, like, the killer themselves. Like David, you put here in the notes, like, the mask of this killer.
Yeah,
what's happening with this mask?
Is this the Bride of Frankenstein? Is that what this mask is?
Yeah,
that's what I read this as. Okay,
it is, with the 2 white streaks on the side. That's
what I read. Yeah.
Not to,
Tyler, did you read that?
I think I was picking up on that, but I didn't think too much of it at the time, but now it's just kind of occurring to me, like, this might be like 4D chess or something like that. But do you think that it's like Lisa might have killed her mom?
You know, plenty of speculation on the Reddit, Lisa Frankenstein subreddit, but no, I don't think that's in the cards. Okay. I think that in fact, we never get a resolution of who this is, and I was actually delighted by that. Mm-hmm. You don't get resolution for things in life, and it's kind of, honestly, it's giving me vibes of Psycho. Like, I just committed bank fraud, and you think that's what the movie's about, and like, nope, that's not what the movie's about. And so we're almost like getting a little bit of Hitchcock here in Williams being like, hey, here's this like really compelling story told by Lisa Soberano, who's like acting her fucking head off by telling this story to this like visually funny gag of a new cheerleader sitting in front of them every time. It's all happening all at once, and it matters because it develops Lisa Swallow's character, but it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter who this killer was. Just, she lost her mom, and it was traumatic, and next scene, please. And I love that.
I love that it's also making Lisa a final girl. And I think queer audiences especially are primed to find the final girl to be sympathetic immediately. Because, you know, we will absolutely talk about final girls more during the course of this podcast, but I think final girls are really resonant for queer people because they have survived adversity and they've gone through all sorts of bullshit, and they came out on the other end and they're, you know, mostly whole, intact, and, you know, developed more as a person. Like, maybe they're stronger, or maybe they learned things, you know. And I feel like that is something that, you know, queer people find really relatable. And so when we watch this movie and we find out that Lisa's whole backstory is about being a final girl, I think now people feel more willing to, like, oh, okay, I'm kind of ride or die for her now. Like, she's already been through the shit. I want to see how she's able to navigate through high school politics and get out, you know, clean on the other side. And then, of course, we see that's not exactly what happens. And it's very delightful as a result. So, back to the movie. Lisa and Michael are chatting when Michael's girlfriend Tamara arrives with a mystery drink from inside. Trying to seem cool, Lisa takes a huge sip and instantly gets obliterated on whatever is in it. Taffy goes to confront Michael while Lisa wanders inside, where she encounters a fellow named Doug. With the excuse of getting her to somewhere where she could sit down, Doug brings her to a bedroom in the house. Once inside there, Doug grabs her and tries to coerce her into having sex, saying you can't stop once you get started and that it isn't nice to lead people on. Ooh, fuck Doug. Lisa flees, but she becomes confused. There is also just a wonderful like direction here as the scene transitions from being in the house to it's kind of interspersed with trees, and now suddenly Lisa's back in the cemetery. I thought that was really well done. Kudos to Zelda on that. Eventually, in the cemetery, Lisa finds herself in front of her favorite tombstone, and she tells the bus that she wishes that she was with him. When she gets home, she smashes the mirror in the bathroom, and at the same time, we see a bolt of green lightning hit the grave, and there is a groaning noise in the woods. So again, fuck Doug.
Fuck Doug!
Fuck Tamara as well for knowingly drugging Lisa. I thought that was hugely bullshit. We, of course, feel...
Yeah, what's the drug here? Because the dialogue, I think, made it indicate that it was PCP. Is that what you all heard as well, or did I... self-insert that?
That is what I inferred.
Okay. That's wild. PCP is a significant hallucinogen, and in 1989 certainly was still around, but the retail market on that wouldn't have been like suburban high school kids. So it might have just been sold as PCP to like give shorthand to the audience, but like that produces like traumatic hallucinations. It's like people who like hallucinations don't typically go for that far. Williams in the commentary says that before they moved from an R to a PG rating, it was actually a laced marijuana cigarette that they were going to be passing around, smoking together, and that would make a little bit more sense for a hallucinogen to have been in.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But, you know, to let teenagers watch this, they had to not smoke.
I think also this whole like intro or like this whole scene really makes us feel more for Lisa. Because now obviously she's been victimized by two people, and now we want her to get her revenge basically, and I think that's what we end up seeing the beginnings of. of course, this also builds motivation for Lisa's change into someone that is a lot more introverted and reticent to engage with others, into becoming a much more confident person, but also someone who's more control of their sexuality. We see her do bad things as the movie progresses, but we don't necessarily hate her for it. At least I don't think the movie wants us to hate her for it, and I think that this is partly why.
Yeah, that seems very fair.
But again, fuck Doug. Fuck Doug.
Fuck Doug.
You know what? All right. Well, Doug's going to get his comeuppance very soon. That night, Lisa has a very surreal and possibly hallucinogen-affected dream. In it is the bust of her favorite tombstone, a man sitting next to her on her bed. Under the bed, we see the masked killer briefly grab both of their ankles before disappearing. The bust man and Lisa hold hands and watch the moon from A Trip to the Moon out the window while they sit closely together. Taffy wakes her stepsister up the next morning because Janet is furious about the shattered mirror. Later that night, while everyone else is at the movies, Lisa is home alone as the creature breaks in. Lisa is terrified and runs away screaming.
So Janet's the worst.
This is where we first get some Janet. Yeah.
Carla Gugino's performance of Janet is so delightfully evil. I agree with you that Janet is definitely the worst. It's so nice to see Carla get to play such a really caricaturized, horrible woman. I think from this point on, the movie starts to lean a little bit more into camp humor. And I think I have kind of a theory that it's because of the lightning strike hitting the grave. We're now in a world where the rules of reality don't necessarily apply, so we can get a little bit more campy, a little bit more cartoony and silly. And I think Janet is kind of a part of that because she is just such the evil stepmom archetype. But then also a little later when Lisa encounters the creature for the first time and Lisa's terrified, it plays so much like it's fucking Looney Tunes.
Yes.
Oh my god, it's so Looney Tunes. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of between these two scenes that we're talking about, but the creature chases her outside, or she ends up outside, she falls off the roof. It's a comedy of errors. Some of it's laugh out loud funny. But then there are these two neighbors who are across the street directly pointed at this house, and the houses look like they are on a back lot. So we are in Uncanny Valley. Tyler, you are absolutely correct with that. Something has changed. And they could see what's going on, but they're not looking at what's going on, and they're commenting on it without certainty when they could just look. And I couldn't stop laughing at this sort of commentary on white suburbanism and these two fuckers who would be on nextdoor.com every fucking hour just to complain that somebody dropped screws at the front of the alley and we're all going to die. Couldn't stop. I mean, you are right. Something has changed in this film. There has been a major sea change, and I am here for it.
Absolutely.
Eventually, Lisa tries to call the police, but the creature has the phone off the hook in the other room. He has turned on the record player, and the same song from the dream is playing. Lisa approaches him, and they make a connection through the music. Lisa brings the creature upstairs to keep him hidden when he points to his wax rubbing of his own gravestone and gives Lisa her mom's rosary back. He came back to life for her, but she explains that when she said, "I wish I was with you," she meant dead and in the ground and not with him in a romantic sense. The creature is devastated. He starts to cry, which is a problem because his tears smell horrible. Lisa hurries him into the shower to clean himself up, and then they have a fashion show where he tries on her clothes to find out something to wear.
God bless this fashion show. I loved this. I loved this so much.
I literally turned to Marshall at the start of that fashion montage and I said, it's a fashion montage. It's a fashion montage.
Yeah. Just at one point in time, he doesn't want to go back in the closet. There's just so much physical comedy between these two that is brilliant right here.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's giving that Abbott and Costello.
Shout out to the creature's actor. He really, the way that he has the physicality of the creature is just fantastic at every point. And we're talking about the physicality. I just really want to give him his flowers here. It's fantastic.
Who's the actor's name?
It's either Cole or Dylan Sprouse, and I cannot remember which one. I'm very sorry.
Cole Sprouse.
I think it's Cole also, but I'm not sure.
Let's be wrong. It's Cole Sprouse. We're just gonna say it. We've put it out in the world. Come for us, haters.
Come for us, internet.
Listen, Cole or Dylan Sprouse, I will only apologize to you if we got that wrong. So please message us directly.
Wow.
At,
long game to get Cole or Dylan Sprouse on the podcast.
If we got both, that's just like, that's a wrap on Fear Coded, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I love that Lisa would have just lived inside of a 90s Hot Topic. Like she's truly a woman out of time. But actually, to get like a little bit more serious here, I think we can discuss a lot of like queer gender stuff in this scene. I think that the creature is a classic Byronic hero from the Romantic literary period when Frankenstein was originally written. Percy Bysshe Shelley, of course, being Mary Shelley's husband, and they had a torrid love affair. It was very passionate. And Percy Bysshe Shelley is was quite the figure. I'll just say that much. She was just very like so passionate and so full of emotion, and I think that those are characteristics that our modern society deemed to be more feminine. And I think it's really fascinating that Lisa, who is becoming a more modern woman, a 21st century woman in the 20th century, kind of sees that, and there's an interesting flip where she's like, your tears smell horrible, she's repulsed by them, and she's reacting to something emotional by pushing that away. And I think that that's kind of interesting because Lisa's now taking on a more masculine sort of personality. When she does that, she's saying, stop your expression of emotion. And she starts to change here. I think this is where we start to see her become a little bit more of a confident, more independent person, and blending together different gender roles and dynamics to create something new, kind of her own Frankenstein monster.
I love that. I love that, because I actually hate the tears thing. I hate it as a runner. I hate that it comes back. The only thing I don't hate about it is that Catherine Newton is so fucking funny.
Oh my God.
Her reactions to it actually made us pause the movie. So I've got to say, I feel really bad about this. I haven't seen a lot of Catherine Newton's work. So when she showed up here, I was like, oh, it's not Misty from Detective Pikachu, which was my only reference point to this person. And she wasn't great in that because she was being asked to be a completely different character than the film was. She is so fucking good.
She's so great.
Yeah.
The next movie that she starred in after this was a movie that, again, I desperately wanted to see in theaters, but I didn't get around to it, called Abigail. And I'm so excited to see her again because it looks like she's, again, having the greatest time, and I love to see it.
Just a wonderful, wonderful reactor in all of these scenes.
Totally.
100%. I love the theme that shows up again and again and again, where music is bringing the two of them together. I just think the way that it connects them is so nice, and also really showcases how fantastic the soundtrack of the movie is.
Totally. I loved everything about the soundtrack to this movie. Marshall and I even said, like, God, this soundtrack rules. Like, just classics throughout. I loved it.
Yeah. So
while they're having sleepover fun, the creature reveals he's not only missing a hand, but his tongue and an ear as well. Lisa sympathizes and thinks that she can understand him so well because she was also mute for a period of time. She also notes that this is the most she's talked one-on-one in years. Suddenly, Janet, Dale, and Taffy come home, and Lisa has to hide the creature in her closet. Lisa quickly comes downstairs and assures everyone she's fine, but Janet is too busy yelling about her broken Snow Baby figurines. Fucking killed me.
I love this so much.
Dale, meanwhile, is concerned about the masked burglar that Lisa said broke into the house, but when Lisa accidentally describes someone similar to the Hamburglar, Janet is convinced that Lisa broke everything to get attention and wants to send her to an inpatient psychiatric care facility. Taffy objects, and Lisa begs not to be sent away. But Dale disagrees that Janet ever said that, even though this is the second time she has suggested Lisa needs this in front of him. Lisa goes to bed in tears.
Shout out, girl. Carla, love you, respect you. You can do anything, baby, including make me hate you. Janet is the worst. She's the worst, and I hate her. Such a great performance. She kills it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, not the Snow Baby figurines. I died. I love that. I love this because she is just a fan of these shitty little things. And she's been convinced, the way many people were convinced, that they are some sort of investment, or that they'll grow value, or that they're important to your life. But they're nothing. They're little trinkets. And so, there's nothing that power likes more than to stay in power. And so the shattering of these represents the loss of that, which is why the creature and Lisa are queer heroes, because they're already destroying heteronormativity. And you're next, Janet. Spoiler alert for you.
I loved the Hamburglar bit.
Oh my God.
That fucking killed me.
Too funny.
I love that we're willing to get silly in this movie.
Yeah.
I was kind of expecting something a little bit more, ironic and a little bit detached, because I think that's a lot of Diablo Cody movies, is just they're on a high level of irony. But this is just so willing to get into the fucking dirt and just be like, we're going to have fun here. We're going to have a good time. Yeah. I love that Janet is this classic evil stepmom. I also really love, David, the idea that she's kind of mourning the loss of heteronormativity with the destruction of these Snow Baby figurines, because she's a representative to me of this semi-feminist girl boss that Lisa is rebelling against. Lisa, if we kind of go on with this idea that maybe she's inventing a new kind of gender identity, gender role, then Janet is representative of the old guard. I think making Janet into a girl boss who we later see is listening to a tape of you're too empathetic. You need to try and become stronger. Meanwhile, Janet is the biggest fucking bitch in the world. I think it's great because it is extremely recognizable as a trope from the 80s with the power businesswoman that Janet is, but it's also extremely resonant with today, the concept of the girl boss, how maybe they're not as feminist as we all originally thought them to be. And I think that this is it's fucking great and very satisfying to see Lisa taking a bat metaphorically to this whole concept.
I love a bat. I love a bat, Tyler.
Absolutely. In all seriousness, part of the reason why I hate Janet so much and how she's so awful is because we all know someone who has parts of Janet, and she's the worst, and it's so effective here. It's not in the notes, but I do also want to take a moment to say that Dale is this horrible wet blanket of a person, and just I loathe him. The way that he moves through the movie is so passive. It's the worst. He doesn't care about anything. He just wants the things that are directly in front of him in a lot of ways, and is unwilling to engage in reality. It's awful.
Dale and Janet together, actually, it's like I'm back in child welfare class. What's worse, a parent who would abuse you or a parent who would neglect you? And that's who these two have in their life. Taffy and Lisa have these two figures in their life. I also want to point out, though, that this is probably the scene where I looked at Dale and I was like, is Dale the same guy who played this exact same character on Stranger Things? Or is the role just so mid-tier white guy that I can't tell? And no, that is the same actor from the Netflix series Stranger Things doing the exact same role of sort of an uncaring, unflinchable father.
Listen, sometimes you find your niche and get that paycheck, baby.
Yeah. Listen, that's fair.
He certainly had more lines in this movie than I think he's ever had in Stranger Things, but he just plays the role so well of the really passive. What was he eating? Grape nuts?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Also, can I tell you, I eat grape nuts, and I don't anymore because they're not available here in Europe because it's a cereal and nothing is available here. I fucking love grape nuts, but they are an old man who doesn't care about his life cereal. And so aptly put, this man would eat grape nuts.
He would. And Dale is the worst. I do think it's interesting that he's so compassionate towards Taffy, where he's just so passive in regards to Lisa. And I don't know what that's about, but I do think it's interesting to point it out. Yeah, the next morning, the creature picks out Lisa's outfit for her, and it's a dress of Taffy's that Lisa wouldn't have worn herself. But once at school, she starts really enjoying the look. And while at school, Lisa's at school, the creature plays a prank on Janet by puking out a worm onto her lunch, which is, by the way, cottage cheese and peaches. Gross.
Delicious. Nope. Also good. This family is eating like I like to eat.
I love that for you, David.
Yeah.
I'm concerned about that for you, David.
Well, you seem concerned about a lot of my food choices, Tyler, for being honest.
After school, Michael asks for notes from Lisa, and she tries to flirt with him before Taffy arrives and makes it clear that she disapproves of him, and he leaves. Lisa and Taffy talk. Taffy asks Lisa to cover for her, but going out after practice, but Lisa doesn't think anyone will ask because Dale works late on Mondays and Janet will be at a conference. Later, Lisa and the creature are hanging out when he asks her if she could fix him. Unfortunately, she can't. She doesn't have any spare parts for a dead person. Just then, Janet arrives home and storms upstairs, so Lisa and the creature scramble to get him hidden in the closet before she bursts into the room. Janet fully lost the plot and blames Lisa for the worm on her plate while calling her a psycho whore and an ungrateful bitch. Janet slaps Lisa and tells her she has already talked to the head of the juvenile program at an inpatient facility and is going to be admitted for Lisa's good and Janet's safety. While this is happening, the creature quietly opens the closet door and kills Janet with a blow to the back of her head with Lisa's sewing machine.
So I think that this scene speaks to a lot of the queer themes in this movie. And in my notes, I numbered them.
Number one.
Point one. So first of all, we have a parent figure who also, I think it should be noted, works for a psychiatric facility, hates...
And is in a fucking nurse's outfit.
A
right?
nurse's ratchet outfit. Like, yeah, that is... like, Zelda Williams and Diablo Cody were just like, we know exactly what we're doing here. But yes, she works for a psychiatric facility and hates the residents there. But she thinks that there is something mentally wrong with her child and wants to send them off. Like, first of all, extremely resonant with this notion that the parent rejects the child and thinks that there's something wrong with the child just because of who they are, and wants to send them away somewhere. Going back to this notion that the creature is kind of like more emotional, is giving some more like typically feminine characteristics. Also, can we talk about that he's been hidden in the closet this whole time? Like, hello,
yes.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't think any of us noted that in our notes because it's just like so right there.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I didn't write it down because I knew I was going to bring it up in the show. But yes, the creature who is representative of the emotional side of things, the more feminine side of society, conflicts with Lisa, who is much more rational, and then the creature wants this thing and he wants to be able to perform music and love and speak and everything, and Lisa's just like, I don't have the parts to make a dead body. And then of course there is the fact that the creature kills Janet with a classically coded female object, being the sewing machine. So here we have a male character who's been hiding in a closet, killing an abusive, in this reading, a homophobic parent with an object that is typically female coded. So, and it's also in service to protect Lisa, who, again, we kind of see as breaking the gender, normativity of what society says, is kind of creating something new from that. There's just so much going on here. It's quite the ride.
It's really, you're right. And like thinking about the sewing aspect, I do think it's noteworthy that Lisa is our Victor analog in this film, right? And most Franken parodies have a character who's like really into science, but she is in this very traditional field of sewing, and I think that that's really fun.
Yeah. I gotta talk about this tape that Janet is listening to. It is incredible. I played it back with the subtitles on so that I could read, because it's playing through our headphones, so we don't get great audio on it. We're not meant to. It is incredible because it talks about how the empathetic person, which Janet thinks of herself as, may struggle with feeling isolated because they're so much better than everyone else. That is like the opposite of empathy. The tape describes everyone else in their life as emotional vampires who will seek out people and drain them of their magic and sensitivity. Chef's kiss. This is exactly what these fucking tapes are. People made tons of money off of them, and it's wild. And then I didn't put this in my notes, but I have to call attention to the fact that Janet puts her food down. That's when the creature puts the worm in it. But the whole reason that he's able to do that is that she goes to the door and there is a carpet shampooer there. And she says, I don't need carpet shampoo. You can eat off my carpet. And that is such a funny line to put in. It's close to a dirty joke. It is just wonderful. I loved the inclusion of this in this script. I thought it was hilarious.
I didn't clock that. Oh my God.
There's so many like dirty jokes hidden in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, for fuck's sake, the whole family is called the Swallows. Like,
thank you. Yeah. And then, I'm bringing up things that like we just have to give a second of time to. As Janet is bursting into the room, we get Lisa saying, "Damn it, Janet," which of course is famously uttered in and sung to in Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many lines in this film that are so funny. It's really hysterical. I'm not normally like a comedy girly, but this had me like rolling. I was laughing so hard. One of my favorites is, "You're a dead man, not a Chrysler LeBaron." It's such a good line.
it is.
It's
so
the
good.
specificity of the LeBaron as well. Like, it's just good comedy has to be specific, and that is like, it's the perfect fucking car to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was so hysterical.
I'm also kind of thinking, now that we mentioned like this line about the Chrysler LeBaron, Lisa is the one saying that, and if we're kind of going with this theory that Lisa is bridging the divide between male and female gender dynamics and everything else, I love that she picks a car, which is typically like the really masculine thing, to make a comparison to, which first of all is not only incredibly appropriate, but it's also just interesting that here she is. She's a very feminine person. She dresses very femininely, very sexually, but she's also extremely willing to get into it and be like very rational or to the point or referencing a car. And I just think like Lisa is so fucking fun as a result. Like the movie just becomes more fun because Lisa is so fucking different.
Well, and referencing a car that the creature can't know about, and that puts him in the feminine role. So we again continue to play with this shit, which is so great.
Yeah,
it's fantastic.
Well, Janet's dead. The creature cuts off her ear and presents it to Lisa, who is horrified. She can't sew the ear back on him. Not until they bury the body, at least. Again, cackled. Just hilarious.
The way, the blocking of that scene and the way it's shot is so good, because immediately it goes from Lisa just being like, no, that's horrible, we can't do that. And then instantly, like, 1940s, like femme fatale clinging to the man, like, not until we bury the body.
Yeah, it's just perfect. They take Janet to the Bachelor's Grove Cemetery and go back home so that Lisa can attach Janet's ear to the creature. It doesn't work at first, but they remember, there needs to be some sort of electricity. They use the broken tanning bed to complete the process. The electricity brings life back to the Fletch, and he actually looks better all over. And we're going to see that every time he gets a little bit more animated. The next morning, Taffy thinks it's nice that Janet is out of town, but Lisa says she actually misses her and thanks Dale for marrying someone so good for both of them. At school, Lisa slips a note into a locker asking the person who's receiving the note to meet them at the lake after school. But instead of Michael, and this was a really good twist, it's Doug who shows up, and she whisks him away to the Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. She asks him to touch her like he did at the party, and then the creature is there. The creature kills him with an axe and cuts off his hand. We then get a scene of Lisa sewing the hand on the creature, and then it's back to the tanning bed. After another success, the pair dance together back into the house.
Can we just talk about that the tanning bed, I believe the brand is Back to Life?
I did not know that.
Yes.
That is awesome. I did not notice that.
Yeah.
I love that.
We haven't talked a ton about the source material. I mean, we have a little, but Shelley's Frankenstein and the 1931 Whale film are a little different. And audiences who listen to this podcast, you might not know, like there's no electricity. Oh, there might be electricity in Shelley's novel, but that's not how the creature gets animated. That is a mechanism of the 1931 film, but it is so ubiquitous to how we think about this story now that I don't know, it's worth saying. I do love that it's a tanning bed malfunction that we're using for this. It's maybe the most 80s thing that we could do outside of like a light bright or something.
I just want to say that I support women's wrongs.
As we all do. This podcast should now become infamous for supporting the wrongdoings of anyone, women or queer, or both. I think that in going off of that, Lisa's rebelling against everything that she was before. Janet is dead. Now Doug is dead. These are the people who have wronged her, come for her, and now she has the freedom to be like showing up and talking kind of sass to her dad and plotting murder and everything else. And, you know, we see her Breaking Bad and it's so fucking fun and satisfying.
Yeah.
I think that if this were a very tonally different movie, that this could be played up as just like, oh, it's an evil woman and she's getting her revenge. She's making a man do all this stuff for her. But instead it's so delightful and really fun to see that Lisa and the creature are working together to achieve this common goal. And then of course Lisa, by getting rid of these people who wronged her before the creature came to life, she can now make her own rules in this new gender, you know, paradigm.
I think there's some nice balance between these two characters in that both Lisa and the creature had to have things that they buried within themselves. So for the creature, it was his unrequited love. For Lisa, it's this sort of unfulfilled rage or trauma after her mother was killed by this masked axe killer. God, that is hard to say. That is why you will not be watching the masked axe killer on Fox this fall. Although copyright fair coded. But nothing stays buried forever, which is kind of like the thesis of the Frankenstein book and this story. And so her rage is coming out, his feelings are coming out, and that's kind of beautiful. And to keep using Tyler's thesis point, they're sort of the opposite genders that you would typically expect rage to be expressed and love to be expressed.
God, that's such a good pull. Like, David, I'm obsessed with that. Like, you guys both really have dug in and found something really lovely here, and I love where your heads are at.
Well, I'm, thrilled to hear that, and I think, I think, major kudos to Diablo Cody and Zelda Williams and crafting, like, a movie that's just so out there and different and willing to be different, especially in an era where, Marilee, we kind of talked about this after, like, I watched the movie, but, like, we should probably have more movies in theaters that are, like, AA budget, really weird, and not a part of, something that you need to watch multiple movies or multiple shows to understand the lore for. Like,
yeah,
it's the story of Frankenstein. It's something that we all recognize, and because of that, we kind of have a sandbox to work within, and I want to see more movies like that. The creature, later on, gets excited and brings Lisa to the piano before playing Can't Fight This Feeling by REO Speedwagon. They have a moment together where Lisa sings and the creature plays, and it's very beautiful. The creature, however, starts to cry. His tears still smell horrible, unfortunately. Like, I think in this scene, Lisa compared it to a bathroom at a hot toilet at a carnival. And it's just like, it was so vivid and so just like, boy, that sure painted the picture of how these things must smell. Lisa, of course, comforts the creature and assures him that he's saved her and that they've done the right thing. Meanwhile, she's putting a pillow over his face. That night, Taffy tries to call Janet, but she's not at her hotel, and Taffy is terrified. While she and Dale are on the phone with the cops, upstairs, Lisa and the creature use a quote-unquote back massager before they use this vibrator for its most traditional purpose. And I just love that in the middle of this scene between Taffy and Dale talking, there's just a quick shot of the electricity flickering in the house.
Yep.
And you hear Lisa shout upstairs, and they just keep going. And it's so fucking hysterical. Post-orgasm, Lisa and the creature talk about the nature of grief while drinking milk in bed. Lisa concluded that the reason why people are so afraid of death is because they don't know when it's going to happen. But she is not afraid anymore. The one thing is, she doesn't want to die a virgin, and she wants to do it with someone she truly loves. So she is going to sleep with Michael tomorrow. The two of them clink glasses, and Lisa goes to sleep.
Yeah, I think this is where my dream of them just being like queer besties who slept next to each other and like had a shared checking account was dashed against the rocks. It's fine. I like the creature a lot. I hate Michael, but there's obvious queer readings to be had here, especially I think around Lisa's sort of hero's journey crest here, overcoming her like fears of death. She's really now that girl, and that's almost like her coming out. And I think that that's really cool and beautiful.
I think from this point on, the creature stops being in the closet as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's an also kind of interesting point to bring up, is that both of them are moving forward in their hero's journey and leaving behind the dregs of what they used to be before, and now they're ready to metamorphose into something else. I love that Lisa is living this goth girl fantasy. I think it's interesting to see her change her personality after having broken bad, essentially, and I think it plays into a very long-running trend in movies where if you want to go against the dominant ideology of the day, which typically in movies like this, it's the heterosexual dominant ideology, you have to break the rules. It could be breaking the law. It could be just doing something that's rebellious against a parent. It could be any number of things. But in this concept of breaking bad, of doing something wrong and evil, they're doing something good, something that needs to be done. And I think it goes along also with David's constant reiteration of like, we should be murdering these guardians of heterosexual ideology. And that's exactly what they're doing in this movie. And I think it's so cool. I think it's also cool that Lisa is just displaying how in charge she is of her sexuality. She knows that she's not afraid of death, but she doesn't want to die a virgin. So she's the one who's going to go out and look for sex. And it's not portrayed as being like a really, skeezy pervert kind of move, like I think something in Weird Science might have been, or just like other 80s like kind of teen movies, like I think 16 Candles has that as well, with creepy pervs that are sex obsessed. But Lisa is just like, I know what I want and I'm gonna fucking get it. And I like that also the creature is not without autonomy. Like he can do whatever the fuck he wants, but he respects Lisa's desires and goes along with them. So again, if we're kind of looking at like who is playing what gender role, if there even are gender roles anymore, I think it's the idea that Lisa knows what she wants. She's very confident and she owns her sexuality. That typically is not something that's seen in a more female kind of character type. And if the creature is sort of embodying that up to this point, we see that kind of continues. Lisa is more in the masculine position. The creature is in more of the feminine position. But as, again, we've already seen how that gets complicated, and we see it get more complicated as the movie progresses.
Those are all really fantastic points, and I love that. Would you guys like to know about the history of vibrators?
Please. Nothing would make me happier.
This is my entire day, Marilee. This is the Everest of my day.
Okay, great. So I just want to talk about the history of this a little bit, because the creature very much lived in a time which was like the peak of medical diagnostic of hysteria. And the thing is, the treatment for that for women was an orgasm. So literally the reason why electric vibrators were invented was so that doctors could give women orgasms in a medical sense. Not like for fun titillation. It's just women would say, I'm like feeling frustrated, I'm bored, I'm stressed, and I don't know what to do about it. And that was that. Then the prescription was go to a hysteria doctor and have an orgasm about it.
Yeah.
So I know that them having this moment with the vibrator is supposed to be read as like a sexual aspect of their relationship, but from the creature's point of view, I think it's really interesting to point out that like her talking about how tense she is, that all really aligns with his mental worldview. And I think that it's very historically possible for him to be like, yes, that all tracks, and marvel about how efficient the process is now.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really fun.
That's great.
I agree.
I had no idea that was the thing. I'm so much happier knowing the history of the vibrator now.
Yeah, no, like we've always had vibrators. Cleopatra very famously had one that was like a glass tube filled with bees. Oh, yeah, no, that's there you go. There's another fun history fact. So like people have been inserting things into places for a long time. But the electric vibrator was invented for that very specific purpose, because some really popular hysteria doctors would like have hand cramps and weren't able to give people the medical treatment they needed because they had to see so many patients.
Skill issue, in my opinion, but I would.
Listen, can we to go back to a more serious topic? I do want to call out specifically the conversation that they have about grief before they talk about death, because again, I didn't realize that Lisa Frankenstein was out of theaters so quickly. So I was scrolling on Tumblr one day and I just kept seeing a lot of like Lisa Frankenstein stuff, and I was like, man, how are they getting all of these really high quality like images? And so I saw that conversation like in a GIF format of Lisa and the creature talking before I saw the movie, and like that was the thing that made me like stop looking around on the internet and try and find out where like how people are doing this, because I needed to see it immediately after that, because like that conversation about grief really spoke to me. Like I think she's right, that is what it feels like.
Yeah, well, and there, I don't know. I think it was really also keenly done by the script and the direction that this is the sort of conversation that you have after orgasm. Like this is pillow talk for Lisa. And that's why we're able to get to some of the root of these issues. And I think her then identifying that like completing her sexuality as she sees it is important to her is such a great takeaway in that moment based on what just happened.
For sure. Also, I do think it's absolutely psychotic to be drinking milk in bed.
Yeah, I didn't clock that as milk. And I hate that you're making me relive this because I just hated watching them drink. And it made me ask a lot of questions about the creature's physiology, which I don't need answers to. And the film doesn't offer, which is fine.
Yep. Yeah. That was exactly my thought as well. I'm so happy someone else is insane like me.
The next morning, my favorite girl, Taffy, she is just a crying mess about her mom being gone. And again, like, did you know, Janet? But it's fine. She ditches out of school before classes start, claiming that she's distressed. We'll find out what that means in just a bit. Doug has been reported missing, and there are police officers all over school. Lisa is called into the principal's office to answer the cops' questions, and sitting there with like the shittiest shit-eating grin in the world is Tamara. That's right, Tamara from Act 1 is back. She's just as faux goth, and she is like, I saw Lisa put a note in Doug's locker. She's the killer. And wow, there are just a ton of witnesses. It seems like everything is over for our girl Lisa. But then Lisa accuses Tamara of having drugs, and the whole thing turns into chaos. And Lisa sneaks away with a really excellent yelling scream done by Catherine Newton. Just truly capturing the idea of feeling like completely boxed in and fucked, and you just need to erupt. Meanwhile, Dell calls home. We hear it on the answering machine. Thank God this movie is set in the 80s, so we can have an answering machine. And to ask Janet, oh, you must be home because the neighbors saw your car. The creature hears the recording and goes to move the car. While he's driving, he finds Lisa walking to Michael's and gives her a ride. Inside Michael's house, Lisa discovers that Taffy is in bed with Michael.
Dun, dun, dun.
While Lisa is shouting at them, the creature walks in, turns the volume up on the stereo, and cuts off Michael's penis with an axe, murdering him. He starts to go for Taffy, but Lisa stops him. Lisa brings a nearly comatose Taffy out of the house, and they go after the creature, finding him eventually in the cemetery.
Oh, boy.
Wow, I don't even know where to get started here. There is so much happening in this scene.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Okay. First of all, once again, fuck Tamara, whatever her name is, for being such a horrible, shitty faux goth. Like, I even told Marshall while we were watching, like, God, fucking bullying goths. Like, what could be worse?
Yeah.
So I hate her.
Yeah,
love that just mentioning drugs, everything erupts. Like, tell me this isn't taking place in the 80s without telling me this takes place in the 80s.
Like a child is missing and considered murdered, but as soon as someone might have a little pot on them, it's over.
Yeah.
Like, truly.
Of course, we did know that Tamara drugged Lisa, so that's not entirely out of the realm of possibility. But, God, Taffy, man, problematic fave.
Taffy did nothing wrong, okay? I mean, yes, she did a little bit, but no, she didn't.
Wrong.
I mean, she kind of did, though. Like,
she did a little bit, but also...
What did she do wrong, Tyler? Have bad taste in men. That's what Taffy did wrong.
I mean,
you can do better, girl.
Yes, but also that she knew that Lisa was interested in Michael, even though Michael is a shitty person. Taffy still went after him. And I feel like that is some of Janet coming through here, and Janet being Taffy's mom, because Taffy this whole time has been very sympathetic and very empathetic. Meanwhile, maybe she has some of that internalized nonsense that Janet was listening to, because Janet has instilled that in her. So she's just like, well, I'm going to get with Michael because Michael, they talk about like, oh, they're so different. They come from different worlds, blah, blah, blah. It's like, whatever, girl.
Barf.
Like, I was very unhappy that Taffy did that, even though we do realize that Michael is a shitty person, and I cheered when the
he has a girlfriend.
That is true too. What the fuck?
Oh, that's right. Tamara is his girlfriend.
I think
so. Like the way that I always read her as being Michael's girlfriend, the way that like they react and interact together. Like they go in. It's not in the notes because it wasn't plot important, but like Michael and Tamara like go to Lisa's work, and it's her jacket, but he's bringing it in. Like, every time that Lisa and Tamara interact, it's so very much teen girl knows other teen girl likes her boyfriend and is getting defensive about it.
Yeah, well, she should have died too. So count your lucky stars.
Maybe we should think about that though. That Tamara was such a shitty person to Lisa, but she's not killed. It's only the men.
Yeah.
Well, Janet.
Yeah.
I'll take it back. Anyway, so I think we got to talk about the penis.
Sure. Let's talk about the penis.
Let's do it.
A set of words I believe I've said before, and I will probably say again. Here's some words I haven't. The music playing loudly as a comically shaped shadow flies across the screen, representing Michael's penis that lands conveniently in a trash can, like we're at a fucking carnival. Incredible. I mean, almost too campy, but perfect. I mean, just like almost.
Blood like the slow blood splatters, I think, kind of save it from getting too out there, because now we're brought back into the world of the macabre. But it's just I think it's a good camp.
Yeah. It crosses the line twice for me. So, like, it goes so far that it's just right.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to keep in mind that the creature does not have a penis, as we soon discover. And here he is claiming domination over a man by removing the thing that is most commonly associated with the male identity. I just think, based off of everything that we've kind of talked about so far, where Lisa and the creature are both navigating this new gender paradigm that they have created together, it's fascinating to me that the creature kind of asserts himself for the first time by dominating over another male, as opposed to dominating a female character. Like, he never outfoxes Lisa in the same way that the creature outfoxes Victor Frankenstein in the original novel. He's always doing this partially for himself, but also for Lisa, so that, the creature knows that Michael is a shithead. So the creature is just like, well, if Lisa wants to have sex, she wants to lose her virginity, and I love her, then, I would like it to be me. I think it's also important to point out that Lisa has never told the creature to do anything like this. This is purely an autonomous thought from the creature to cut off Michael's penis. And so there's just something new here. This is now taking it to a new level of where are we with gender. It's just such a fucking spaghetti of gender ideas and what constitutes gender and everything else. And I think that shit is cool as fuck.
Yeah. For sure. I just want to point out that Lisa is so extraordinarily bad at lying. It's very funny. That whole scene at the top with her and the cops is very, very funny, because she keeps trying to like lie and then immediately get called on it, and she'll try and cover badly with another lie that gets immediately called on also. It's very funny.
It feels like Looney Tunes again.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like
Oh,
a Looney Tunes gag, but they're not actually showing, like, the visual, like, they're not showing photos of Lisa with Doug at the cemetery holding hands, you know? Like, we're like so close to doing that, but they hold back. And I think it works better as a result.
I also really love her speech to Michael, where she talks about, you like these things, but only for you. It's delivered in a really great way, and like, she's not wrong. There are a lot of people who are like that. It's honestly, to me, it kind of reads as like a manic pixie dream girl anti-speech. Like, she likes all of these things, and she's interested in them, but the people who like the same kind of stuff that she likes, she can't interact with because they don't like girls who like the same stuff. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Yeah. And I like the moment between Lisa and Taffy in the car where Lisa is like, I'm sorry that I did all this. Like, I'm kind of sorry. You actually are like a really good person. You tried to make me part of your family.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I love you to her. And it's, I don't know, it's a really beautiful sister moment that just outside of everything else that's happening here, it's like,
which is so much.
It's like almost saccharine, but we just watched a penis fly through the air. So like, it's not, it's like, it's smart. It's just very, very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Lisa is apologizing to Taffy. She thanks her for being her sister and says that she loves her. And then she gets out of that car and she picks up the axe, which is waiting right there, which I think is interesting. And she goes after the creature. But Lisa can't kill him, and they embrace. She realizes that he loves her and tells him that they're running out of time and they should have sex immediately. Before that can happen, though, Lisa needs to attach one more body part, the one the creature just harvested. So Lisa performs the creature's bottom surgery, and he puts a peach ring candy on her finger before taking her to bed. After, Lisa hands the creature a note to read and then kills herself using the tanning bed. He watches, and when she's gone, he looks at her last message, which says, "Death is temporary. I'll love you forever," and draws a little lightning bolt. Later, Taffy and Dale visit Lisa's grave. Someone has been leaving Lisa flowers and wrote "beloved wife" on her tombstone. By the lake, the creature reads a poem to Lisa, whose whole body is wrapped in bandages. And that's the end of the movie.
This ending, man.
Yeah.
Marilee, I like calling it bottom surgery. I think that's really fascinating because we've had such a focus on the human body and gender and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like David said at the beginning, whether it's a trans reading or maybe more of a gender affirmation reading, I think no matter what, we can conclude that there's absolutely something queer going on here as it relates to the physical body. We've only ever known the creature as a like he's referred to in a masculine, way. He's got the he him pronouns that they always refer to him as. But the fact that he is missing his penis, I think, is kind of representative of like there's something up with this guy when it comes to gender. And I think that by getting a penis and then he transforms into a healthy looking Cole Sprouse at the end, what is he? Is he really like an actual human man now? Is he a man but he's undead? Is he a third thing? Is he outside of gender entirely? And what about Lisa? Lisa's body is completely wrapped in bandages. The only thing we see of her is her face. So what is underneath? Like, I'm not saying that now she's, also had some sort of gender transitioning surgery or something gender affirming happened to her. But it's just the fact that now she's kind of like in a cocoon waiting to like become a part of this new thing that she and the creature have together. And it's different. It's not what society would deem to be normal. And I think in that sense, it's extremely queer, and their bodies are representative of this new dynamic that we're going to see in the future. In a way, maybe like part of this movie is set in the 80s for aesthetical purposes, but also because maybe it's kind of like a way of planting the seed and showing like, okay, these are the gender norms that we had in 1989 and in the early 90s, and now look and see how our 21st century perception of gender has been flipped and put into this movie.
Yeah.
And so I find that very fascinating. I also think it's interesting that the poem is called Oh Mary Dear by Percy Bysshe Shelley. And as I said at the beginning, and we discussed, Percy and Mary had a very turbulent love life. And I think that this is kind of a nice, beautiful way to end it, because much like Percy and Mary, they are now reborn as two goth freaks who are nuts about each other. And I think that's lovely.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, because when Lisa and the creature, come together finally, and he still looks pretty dead, but in the very last scene he looks fully human. Do you think he took Lisa's tongue and that's why he can talk now?
Interesting.
And he's fully human now?
I did think about the withholding of speech as a pretty central part of the creature's life.
Mm-hmm.
And it seemed to not be a priority of either the creature nor Lisa to repair that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't instantly read that, Marilee, but that is such an interesting take, and maybe that is why Lisa is silent there at the end of the film. Or maybe she is just in this cocoon pupa phase, and she's about to emerge as her fully queer self in the sequel. Where they solve crimes.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say, I think that is kind of interesting to think about. Maybe he took Lisa's tongue, because Lisa, from the beginning, was designated as the person who's really into poetry.
Mm-hmm.
And so the creature, who up until this point we haven't seen being invested in poetry, instead he was all about music, now is reading a poem to Lisa.
Yeah.
So I definitely could see that being a connection there.
Yeah, that's the thing that occurred to me. It's about the poetry of it all, and I kind of like the idea of him taking this final part from the woman that he really loved, and I think that that's kind of romantic. But the problem is that I also don't love the idea of him silencing her, and what that could mean. It doesn't seem like something that the creature would do. The idea of him completing himself with a part of her versus silencing her is really fighting in my brain.
I
don't know how to feel about it.
I think that's okay that it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because on the one hand, I think it is very, if we look back at what would be very goth, or what is very resonant to that romantic period of literature where
Mm-hmm.
Frankenstein was created in. I think the idea that the man has taken something from the woman, but now they are kind of both together as a result, is very relevant to those themes. However, I think going from a 21st century perspective, I don't think it would sell very well for that exact reason. We don't want to see Lisa, who's been very vocal as a result of her character development, and there was a big emphasis on that now being silenced. So I think that's interesting.
Very famously, Mary Shelley did keep her husband Percy's heart after he died. She kept his preserved heart for the rest of her life. So I don't know. I feel like there's something there, but I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. And I think that's okay.
I'll offer, mechanically, I don't think her tongue was in great shape. I think the creature would have to kill someone else. I'm going to say he didn't steal her voice, but I do think he is keeping a part of her, not represented by the cocoon body, but I do think that the nature of her heart remains with him, and I think we get a little bit of that in the poem itself.
True.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it is a love poem to his wife.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I like that they exchanged, or he gave her a candy ring, because they can't actually get married because he's dead and Ronald Reagan is president. And so there's a nice little queer allegory for not being able to get married. And we already swam these waters last episode with our lesbian marriage. So, or civil union. I think that's what they got.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know, I got to be symbolism police on this one. I was a little bummed that here at the end, we didn't get one last creepy, crawly insect between Lisa and the creature, because that has sort of been a motif of their grotesque relationship together. Mm-hmm. And I think that just a little centipede walking around would have been a nice mirror from what we've seen through the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yeah, agreed.
Real quick, that last shot is of Lisa opening her eyes. Does she have eyeballs, or were they just the eye sockets? I couldn't tell because it was so blinking you'll miss it.
Yeah, I think she had eyes.
I think she had eyes.
Okay. To me, it looked like they were just the eye sockets, and it's just oh boy, here we go again. We got to find the parts for the corpse bride. But I think it also would have been in terms of physicality and the grotesque, if she's electrocuted and her body is fried to the point that she has to be in a full body cast, her eyes probably did not do so well in the machine.
Yeah.
So I thought that would have been kind of like a neat little gross carryover to the reality of what happens if you are massively electrocuted and killed.
And I know the both of you don't love him, but Dale offering to take Taffy to Fuddruckers after they visit their mom's grave was such a great little dad moment.
Yeah.
Dad should take you to Fuddruckers.
Yeah.
I do think that Dale is the right dad for Taffy.
For Taffy, yeah.
Yeah. Like he really genuinely cares about her, and I like that they have a little found family together now. Like they've lost Lisa and they lost Janet, but the two of them have formed their own family unit, and they're very sweet to each other.
Yes. I think it's also kind of like, in addition to that, kind of going off of like Dale's not a great dad to Lisa, but he's a good dad to Taffy. Look at the cemetery that poor Lisa has been buried in. It's overgrown. It's really ratty looking. It looks like it's a very hot summer day, so everything is a little bit harsher. But you know, the fact that Dale is kind of acting like, all right, let's go see your mom, and then we'll go to Fuddruckers. It's just like he's taking Taffy to a doctor's appointment, essentially, and that's basically what it feels like to visit Lisa. So again, very happy that Lisa can be with someone who truly can be there for her in a way that no one else could.
Yeah.
I do want to note that Taffy is wearing the rosary here.
Good catch.
Which like Lisa gave that to Taffy when she was telling her that she loves her and that she's sorry, and here she is like showing that Taffy kind of felt the same way, at least, I think is very nice.
Mm-hmm. Does anyone else have like some final thoughts for the episode? Anything you wanted to point out, or other conversations you wanted to have?
All right, I want to go murder by murder. Murder by murder.
Let's do it.
Let's kill some heterosexuals here. So Janet, I feel like, was a representative of institutions. I mean, she wanted to institutionalize her daughter. She showed up like Nurse Ratched. McMurphy, you can't be gambling in here. Doug, to me, represented the idea of forced and assumptive and compulsory sex. So the idea that in order to be part of a heterosexual world, you must have a heterosexual pairing. That pairing must include sex, and that sex primarily is to have a child. Michael, I feel like, was killed for having heterosexual sex. I feel like that's, sorry to go all randy on this, but like, you have sex in a horror movie, you're going to die. So yeah, there you go, buddy.
Generally, it's the female character that dies. So I do think it's a fun inversion of that this time Taffy survives and he doesn't.
And then Lisa herself dies, which I think is sort of, alongside her newly transitioned beau, is sort of representing killing your old self for your new self. So those are my arguments this episode on how every murder is a murder of heterosexuality.
I think that is wonderful.
Co-signed. Agreed.
Agreed. Yeah. 100%.
So this one's probably rating on my top, not as well as Bly Manor, probably right there with Psycho.
I said it once and I'll say it again. We need more movies like this in theaters. I miss this is like a perfect like Sunday afternoon matinee kind of movie. Like this is something that you would go to the theaters, you would have a nice time, eat some popcorn, have a blue slushie, leave the movies, go get some ice cream, and you're just like, boy, that was a fun movie. I'm really happy we enjoyed that. I miss that. Everything's got to be a fucking blockbuster nowadays, and we're gonna have a bust as a result. So I would love more smart and hysterical movies that aren't afraid to be a little gross and kind of make us uncomfortable. I don't know why critics didn't get it. I say that I do know why. But at the same time, like, there's so much like good stuff in this movie that's so funny and very well made, and the acting is fantastic, that like I wish they had given it more of a fair shot.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I at the top we kind of talked about the second life that this movie gained on Tumblr. I've provided for you 3 little samplings of what's kind of going on the Lisa Frankenstein Tumblr situation. So if you guys will go over to the Discord, there's a thing of like 3 little pictures I'd like you to look at. So the first one, please describe the image.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so we've got scenes. These are two scenes from the Rocky Horror Picture Show in which Dr. Frankenfurter is displaying Rocky to Brad and Janet, who represent the sort of normies, if you're not familiar with Rocky Horror. And Dr. Frankenfurter has been labeled as Diablo Cody, and the creature, in this instance, Rocky, is labeled with the film poster of Lisa Frankenstein. Brad and Janet represent the Rotten Tomatoes score of 51%, certified rotten by the website. And the caption reads, well, I didn't like, the caption first reads, Brad and Janet's line, well, I don't like movies with monster fucking, and the response, I didn't make him for you.
Thank you. Your Void Senpai for creating that meme. That's very apt.
Outstanding work.
Our second one is a text post from Fig the Fruit Faith. Faith spelled Faeth. And this one says, obsessed with the way that Lisa Frankenstein answers the question of how will Lisa overcome her trauma? Not by putting her morbid tendencies aside and rejoining society as a normal girl, but having her relive it as the perpetrator instead and being rewarded with a messy, codependent husband.
And the third, and perhaps my favorite of these three, is from user Fridge Witch, which features a still image from Lisa Frankenstein, where Lisa is holding the creature, and over it is laid the text, got my bottom surgery at Claire's, and reads that Fridge Witch is particularly proud of this meme, and they should be.
Also, Claire's is written in like a bloody font, like it's a B-movie horror.
Is that not Claire's usual font? I didn't know that.
I think it's more accurate considering the piercing guns, but yes.
I do want to specify that particular scene is like right before the monster cuts off Michael's dick. So it's very, very like on the nose there. So I picked these three, one because they're all very funny, but they kind of represent what's going on. So like in the first one, there are a lot of monster fuckers on Tumblr, and there are a lot of people who really I know, it's a big surprise. And there are a lot of people who really enjoyed the romance between Lisa and the creature specifically. So I pulled that one because A, I thought you guys would like it, and B, because it really shows that people appreciate and got this movie. The second one was I thought it was a really smart thing to pull, but also there are a lot of people who are reading into this film and seeing stuff that is interesting, and like there are a lot of really interesting film people who have really cool opinions that are not being listened to by like the general public, and I just really wanted to highlight that. And then the third one is of course just funny, and another way of showing how queer people have responded to the film, and it's gender weird very specifically.
Yeah. I do think that overall with the film, I get critics not liking it. I know that I'm middle of the road on it. Mm-hmm. I do think that for the high school class of 2054, this is probably going to be like the main event at a 2020s theme party, where they all agreed to change their holocrons to like bizarre old Pearson mode, where it just has regular Wi-Fi, and they like dumb down their dress and they do something different, and they put this on and they have like a hoot nanny of a time, because this has cult classic all over it, but it'll be after I've been downloaded into the Ultranet and ceased to exist in a physical form.
I was going to say, David, I'm surprised that you're even setting such a prediction in motion when we can't even guarantee we'll all be here in 2054.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. These people will all go to classrooms under the ocean, but still get to have theme parties. Tyler, don't begrudge the children that.
The fish students of 2054 with their theme parties about, this is what life on the surface was like. Wow.
You know what? If you've got comments that you'd like to send into the podcast, fish people of the future, fearcodedpod@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Oh, man.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to check out our Victorian grave rubbings or any other fun content that we have, please check out our social media. Find us at Fear Coded Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah, and this podcast is a proud part of the Glitterjaw Queer Podcast Collective. If you'd like to listen to more queer media podcasts, check out the full roster of shows at glitterjaw.com. And join us next time when we answer the question, what's scarier, werewolves or puberty? With the film Ginger Snaps. Bye!
Goodbye!